your worth is not dependent on the judgment of others. Many of us have been taught that our worth lies within the things that we achieve, that we possess, or that it is found within the people we hang out with, and all these things outside of us are not us. Whenever someone identifies themselves with something in their external reality, they try to fill a void. Whenever someone identifies themselves with something in their physical reality, they attach their own sense of worth to something outside of them. Whenever there is a form of attachment, someone also signs up for a great deal of pain and suffering whenever that very thing leaves their lives, because they identified themselves with something in their physical reality. Home is a space within you. Feeling as if you belong is a space within you, because nothing in your physical reality will ever fulfill you if you don't feel whole within. It is going to be an everlasting search for validation, for acceptance, for belonging in your physical reality when you are not coming home to yourself. No one's sense of self is to be found within the physical reality. To give an example when it comes to attaching your own sense of self to something in your physical reality, let's say that a man ends up in a relationship with a woman. He sees this woman as his other half. And because he places his own sense of self on this person, he is dependent on the love of this person because this person completes him. This person makes him whole. If there comes a moment in this relationship that this woman leaves, this man will break into pieces emotionally because it is as if he is losing a piece of himself. Because he attached his own sense of worth to something in the physical reality. She completed him because he didn't feel complete by himself. And of course, situations like this will hurt. But when you understand your own worth and you value yourself, it will never be as soul-wrecking as when you place your own value upon someone else because you see that person as an extension of you. The only thing we truly have in this life is our own body. So identifying yourself with things in your physical reality will never add up to your own worth or to your own value. True worth comes from within. And whenever something hurts so bad because you feel like you lose a piece of you, it is time to evaluate the situation. It is time to heal, because if one doesn't heal after they just have lost a part of themselves because something in their physical reality left them, they will continue the cycle. They will attract the same situations over and over again. Whenever someone chooses to heal, they step closer to that space of wholeness and abundance that was always within them. And that is where your true value lies. And from that space, it is natural to value yourself, to not seek for validation, acceptance, or belonging outside of you because you know that you belong. You found home within. You are the only person you truly have in this life. So for that reason, befriending yourself, being your own lover, being your most trusted companion for yourself is the most precious gift you can give to you. Because the relationship you have with yourself is the most important relationship. Feeling worthy, feeling as if you belong, feeling at home are all places that are residing within each and every one of us. And it's just a matter of strengthening the connection with self to truly tap into these spaces of abundance. I always say that reality starts from within. So whenever you heal yourself, whenever you align yourself, your external reality will follow. The more you try to bend things in your outer reality and attach your own sense of worth to things in your physical reality, the more someone is actually devaluing themselves. Because creation starts from within. You don't have to go out there and do all these backflips and whatever to gain a sense of worth or fulfillment. And instead of stepping away from your sense of self by chasing things in your physical reality, one should redirect that energy back to them and strengthen the connection and the bond with self. Whenever someone is strengthening the bond and connection with self, they build a solid foundation within. They build a genuine connection with self. They tap into all these spaces of abundance and wholeness within. And from that space, you can have healthy relationships. From that space, you will also notice that the very things that you desire, they desire you in return, because you are not out there chasing and running away from self. You are getting back to self by strengthening the connection with you. And whenever that bond with self becomes stronger, you also become deeply rooted. So nothing outside of you can influence you and dictate your worth because you know what your worth is. When you are not deeply rooted, it is really easy to be influenced by the judgment of others. It is really easy to be influenced by the projections of others. And for that reason, one needs to value themselves, because if one doesn't value themselves, no one will. Speaking of not easily being influenced because you are rooted and you value yourself, not long ago, I had a conversation with a man, and it was a really interesting conversation because it was an encrypted conversation. One where he was describing himself as kind of like a leader of his community, but he was describing his community as a pond. And while he was describing this pond, in my mind, I was seeing the pond, but I was also seeing restrictions and limitations. So I was voicing my thoughts to him. And he responded with, there are no restrictions, there are no limitations, it is open. So, in my understanding, even though I felt like he was dividing our worlds, he also tried to pull me into his pond. When I came to that understanding, I was thinking about all these beautiful open spaces where we have water. We have the ocean, we have the sea, we have so many spaces where we can just swim in because we are at home within ourselves, spaces where you don't feel the need to compromise on your own set of values. Because when someone is asking you to fit into the framework that they have created in their mind, they will ask you to shrink yourself. They will ask you to give a piece of you away. And whenever you start compromising on your own word, you are devaluing yourself. You are energetically feeding someone else with your energy. So living up to your own values is really important, because if you don't value yourself, no one else will. Never compromise because someone tries to make you comfortable to them. Never shrink yourself so that someone else can feel comfortable with you, because often people try to make you familiar to them. It needs to make sense to them. Control is having the upper hand in situations like this. And where there is control, there is no space for acceptance and to be, because you always will need to adjust so that someone else can feel comfortable with you. Whenever someone isn't fully rooted within themselves, whenever someone doesn't have a strong sense of self or a sense of belonging from within, they will try to bend reality. Reality starts from within, always. And you belong. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do, you belong. So don't let anyone dictate who you are, where you need to be, or where you belong. Because you belong, but you belong to you, and you are not for everyone. And besides that, life is to be experienced. And life will be experienced in the unknown, outside of the familiar. Strengthening the bond with yourself will happen outside of the familiar. Because when you step outside of the familiar, you have only you to rely on. You step into the unknown. You take a deep dive into the waters where you don't know what's underneath the surface. But that is where life actually happens. That is where self-growth happens. That is where the magic unfolds itself. Whenever I felt the slightest bit of fear in a situation where my heart was actually calling out to experience something, I would always listen to my heart. It might feel comfortable staying in the familiar because it is known, but it is in the unknown where you truly evolve. Whenever someone takes steps away from the familiar zone, they take steps closer to self. They take steps closer to that wholeness and abundance within. The bond with yourself will become stronger each and every time you step outside of the familiar. Each and every time that you say yes to life outside of what is known, you strengthen the bond with yourself. Also because in the unknown, you have only you to rely on. And that means you will need to treat yourself as your own best friend, as your own lover. So you automatically strengthen the bond with yourself each and every time you step outside of the familiar. When you have only yourself to rely on, even if it's mentally or emotionally, you also build trust within yourself. And with that, you also learn to trust the universe. So you are okay with taking the deep dive into the ocean or the sea. Whenever you let go of the need to control your external reality, the more life will unfold in a natural way that is more in alignment with your soul purpose. You belong here, everyone belongs here. But it will take strength and courage to strengthen a bond with yourself, because the most growth will happen outside of the familiar zone. Whenever you value yourself, the universe has no other option to mirror whatever your own inner narrative is. To create that solid foundation within yourself, there are small steps you can take. If you have a bucket list with things you would love to do but might have felt some fear around it, now is the time to do it, because you only have the now moment. So if you want to take a solo trip, try to take a solo trip as soon as you can. Take yourself out for dinner, go to the cinemas alone. You only have now, so take your moment. Dare to be fearless, because whenever you release fear, the possibilities in life are limitless. The only thing you truly have in this life is yourself. So treat yourself as your best friend and your first true lover, your most trusted companion. And whenever you truly value yourself, there is nothing in your external reality that can influence you or push you over. Stay rooted, become fearless, and don't forget to love. Thank you for watching today. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.